A year and a half ago, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power filed 2 lawsuits against Mammoth Community Water District. DWP claimed they own the rights to Mammoth Creek water, not the water district. In January, it looked like the 2 sides had reached a settlement, but in February, something happened. It all fell through. The details unfolded in closed meetings, and no one has commented on why everything fell through. But now, Water District Manager Pat Hayes has confirmed that the 2 sides have, quote, arrived at an agreement of principles for agreement. He said, "We are working on a formal settlement agreement." DWP had claimed water rights pre-existing to Mammoth's. Mammoth Water District officials strongly denied that and pointed to permits granted by the state some 60 years ago. They headed to court, but then started to negotiate a settlement. The Los Angeles Times reported in February that the 2 sides had moved toward a compromise that included a Mammoth payment to LA of almost $5 million, which would then be used to save water and increase the flow in the aqueduct. The reported settlement also would have dismissed both of the lawsuits and said neither side would ever challenge the other's water rights in the future. Anyway, that apparently evaporated in late February. Negotiations resumed later. Attorneys for both sides have now filed stipulations with Mono County Superior Court, where it was decided the case would be heard, and in fact, there had been hearings earlier on the case. Now, those stipulations would extend the court schedule and set a status conference. The documents say this, quote, "As of May 30th, the parties' respective staff and legal counsel are actively preparing a formal settlement agreement based upon principles of agreement developed by the parties' staff and legal counsel." Both sides have asked the court to extend their appearances by 3 weeks. The documents ask the court to vacate the briefing schedule if they come up with a settlement agreement by June 14th. If that happens, both sides want a status conference in late July. Asked to comment on the details of the principles the 2 sides have embraced, Mammoth Water District Manager Hayes said he could not comment. And on the water scene in Inyo County, last month the Inyo supervisors refused to go along with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power's request to reduce irrigation to lessees and mitigation projects in Inyo. They did go along with some other water reductions DWP wanted, but with conditions. At last month's Inyo LA Standing Committee meeting, Inyo supervisors said no to LA's irrigation reduction requests. DWP then withdrew their request, but they sent another letter asking to reduce water to the McNally Ponds mitigation project and to the Van Norman Field mitigation project in Lone Pine. DWP said it's a dry year, and under the water agreement, they can ask for reductions. According to Inyo Water Director Bob Harrington, his department recommended and the supervisors agreed it was okay to temporarily reduce water to the McNally project if DWP provided water to a pasture area between the Bishop Creek Canal and the Owens River. The board also said okay to the reduction of water in Lone Pine if DWP provided additional surface water to a nearby project. The board also asked for more water for the high school farm project next year. Surprisingly, LA said yes. Well, in other Inyo DWP issues, DWP did not honor Inyo's request for a reduced groundwater pumping plan this year. Los Angeles will reportedly take somewhere around 70,000 acre-feet. In another surprising turn of events, LA agreed to release some additional water into the lower Owens River. The water flowed down the Alabama gates. The purpose to irrigate the burn area from that fire east of Lone Pine in past months. And the MOU, or parties who sued LA to get water in the river, had to agree, though, to let DWP pump back that water into the aqueduct, and they did. So a little bit more agreement going on between Inyo and DWP. And in February, after several closed sessions, Mammoth School Superintendent Rich Boccia had resigned with no explanation. Now, after a lengthy search, the Mammoth School Board has chosen a new school leader. After Botch's departure, the board appointed educator Lou Stewart as interim superintendent. The Mono County Office of Education and the Mammoth School District launched an extensive search with community forums to hear from the public. They received a number of applications, conducted interviews, and last week, board members spent time with finalists and narrowed their search down to a site visit. They met Monday evening and later announced they had voted to hire Lois Klein of Bonita Unified School District in San Dimas. According to that district's website, Klein has worked as assistant superintendent. Officials said she has a lot of experience, and Klein will go to work in Mammoth July 1st. Back in Inyo County, when some residents saw the lawn at the Department of Water and Power headquarters in Bishop, they called our newsroom with some anger. The grass was brown and looked dead. Was DWP too cheap to water its own lawn, they wanted to know? Well, that's not the case. It's all part of a program involving the master gardeners to grow drought-tolerant plants at DWP headquarters. The lawn itself will eventually come out, and the gardeners will replace it with various types of drought-tolerant plants and shrubs. And the gardeners had started with the planting of barberry shrubs in the planter that surrounds the building. DWP manager Jim Yanata had responded with a letter to those concerned about the lawn. In that letter, he said, quote, "Over the next few months, the master gardeners and DWP will transform the landscaping around the building from water-intensive lawn and hedges to attractive gardens featuring native drought-tolerant species." The master gardeners, he said, will design the new gardens using water-saving species. Yanata said DWP staff will acquire and plant the plants and ground cover and adapt the existing irrigation system. He added that, quote, "Landscaping that can be supported with minimal water is essential, especially in areas such as Bishop that often experience years of low precipitation. We look forward to the new landscaping becoming a water-conserving showpiece," he said, for the Owens Valley. And when we come back, weather after this.